On this very fine Saturday afternoon, I would like to tell you a little bit more about my absolute favorite fragrances of winter. I know winter has already passed, but I thought there's no better time to actually use and feature the most worn fragrances because actually the nights are still pretty chill in the most of the world. I know that Australia is entering fall. There are a lot of places where it still might be snowing, or at least like in the evenings it's pretty chilly. There's no better use for these fragrances on chilly spring or fall nights. All of these perfumes share a wonderful quality of kind of warm, gourmand, soothing blanket, something you can put on and kind of just go into a different world, a world of calm, maybe a little bit of a wonder. So they're all very either cozy and comforting, or even more kind of dreamy and rich. They kind of take you to a different world, like to a fairy tale. So I thought there was no better time, as all of us going through various stages of quarantine, or like a lot of plans are changing, and a lot of times, especially at night when we went through the day, we did the best we could, and it's time for us to actually relax and recharge, regain some of that energy. So I'm gonna go quickly through some of them because I've been talking about them non-stop in almost all of the favorites and all of my collections, because they're really dear to my heart. They're very unique. So I will, like, if you're already on my been on my channel, you watched a few videos, you'll recognize them. If you haven't, feel free to watch a few extra videos. You will gather a lot of context. The first one is basically my nighttime perfume, the perfume that I mostly wear when I'm alone or when I travel alone. Well, when I used to travel, or when I spend time at home. So this is Cartier, their boutique line of, I think it's the line called the Hours. They are very rare. They are not really talked on YouTube or online very much, but let me tell you, this is an absolutely stellar collection. It is very niche. All of these, I would say like 10 out of 12 perfumes that I try from this line have a very strong character. They're very unique, a very high quality composition, very, I wouldn't say clean, but very cohesive. So my favorite one from the whole collection that I hunted down is number 7, L'Heure de Fondue, I think, if I'm saying it correctly. And this is the smell of Hogwarts. This is the smell of an old castle in winter, when you're sitting in the warmth of a fireplace lit kind of wooden and leather library. You just had dinner, and now you're kind of catching whiffs of some dessert, maybe like sweet wine, or a few desserts with coffee. So this fragrance has it all. It also contains a little bit of this kind of like wet, cold air that travels on the darker corners over sort of stone castle, because this is one of the best chocolate patchouli scents that is on the market. This is what, when people talk about patchouli being green or being more like sour berry like, the third type of patchouli, the most beloved one, is chocolate patchouli. It's very hard to find because it requires fairly expensive type of materials in order to achieve this kind of effect. So here we get a little bit of this green mossy, well, some people say even moldy. I don't feel it to have any negative connotations, but it has a little bit of this kind of mossy, wet feel, in addition with dark chocolate. And there are also some of the gourmand spices added to this perfume. So the seventh hour by Cartier, L'Heure de Fondue, it's just mesmerizing. To me, it's literally the world of Harry Potter is traveling in time and space, and I always put it on. It lasts on your skin, I would say, about 6 hours, and on my clothing it lasts until I basically wash it. So basically all of my pajamas smell of chocolate patchouli at this point. And I love it so much that I actually listed it as my signature fragrance on Fragrantica, even though it's not for everyone. I'm warning you right now, it's very niche. This perfume definitely has a world inside these glass walls. Okay, moving on. Another perfume that has a similar soothing, dark, rich, sweet but not sugary quality to me. This is Labdanum 18 by Le Labo. I was fortunate enough to hunt it down through a network of perfume lovers in Russia before Le Labo made an official return to that market and the prices jumped almost 3x. It used to be much cheaper to buy Le Labo in Eastern Europe than it was in the United States, and not any longer. So I'm very lucky to get it for the price that I did, and what I love about Labdanum 18, this is the least controversial of all Le Labo fragrances. A lot of people who try Le Labo for the first time, if they don't already have a wide palette of fragrances that they're okay with, that the things that they can enjoy, often find the Labo fragrances a bit much. This fragrance is, to me, is the Orthodox Christian church during like a full night service. It's very dense, warm, burning candles kind of smell. Not the aromatic candles, but like the church candles. So it mixes labdanum with a little bit of incense, with a little bit of myrrh, with a little bit of everything, and it gives you this very warm, very soothing, but not sugary. It doesn't have any of that sweetness that I call like liquid obesity, like the Via Bell like sugar. None of that. It's very rounded. I guess a lot of people who enjoy amber fragrances or more natural, darker vanilla fragrances, they would probably enjoy this perfume. I haven't found anything that comes any closer to the smell of like a Russian church than Labdanum 18. These like very warm, burning, like a hundreds of burning candles around you kind of smell. It's really beautiful. It's very soothing. I use it before going to bed. It really calms me down. It really takes me somewhere. Another fragrance that I want to mention alongside of this, it's also very soothing, but this I would call one of my nudes. I made a whole video about perfume nudes. You can watch it on my channel if you're curious. This is one of them. I'm just gonna give it a passing mention. It's because it's very affordable, and it's one of those very elegant and classic skin tight fragrances. This is basically kind of an quiet amberish skin, like it has a little bit of this like skin texture, very soft, very ethereal, very souffle type of presence, and it's made by Ted Lapidus and it's called White Soul. It costs pennies, and yet the bottle is really substantial. It's very pleasant to hold, so it's a really good production value, and it's very cheap. And I would say, like, if you're looking for a nude scent, something that just gives you this feeling of well moisturized, cared for skin, and something that just envelops you with a thin, very like thin layer of caressing, soft, barely noticeable fog, then try that. Again, I recommend it for its price, sort of like quality to price ratio. It's one of my favorites, and I used it all the time in winter. I like it in all its forms. I do have a shower gel with White Soul. I do have a body lotion with White Soul, and I love them all equally. I might say that I actually probably enjoy the body cream, the body lotion White Soul by Ted Lapidus even more than I do perfume, because there it's the creamiest of the creamiest soft nude smells that just makes me feel it's like a luxury skincare. That's kind of the kind of feel that it gives me. The next one will be my most worn kind of work mood type of perfume, and this is a also, I think it's one of the kind of boutique lines or like limited edition lines by Chopard. All the bottles have this type of appearance, and this one is Musk Malaki. So they're all something Malaki. You can find these here and there on different discount websites like FragranceNet, Perfume.com, FragranceBuy.ca. So I got mine from FragranceNet a while ago, and I think when it just appeared, it was really cheap. Well, for the perfume of this caliber, I think it was like $45. I think now you can buy it for $60. That still would be actually a fairly good deal. So this limited edition, I guess, boutique line basically makes this, like as we say, Soliflor, like gardenia-centric fragrance, or like this centric fragrance, or rose-centric fragrance. So this line tries to purify any particular favorite note to its absolute cleanest, the most abstract and architectural core. So this one is about musk. So Musk Malaki, to me, is the most elegant, thin, kind of very soft leather with not this kind of musk is so pedigreed that I can't even call it animalistic, because usually perfumes that are heavy on musks, they tend to have marketing of being sexy or seductive or this or that. This is, I don't know how they made it happen, but this kind of musk is the sensuality of Sherlock Holmes. So this is the kind of appeal that has the least to do with animalic or sweaty or any connotation of that sort. To me, this is a very grown up, very much buttoned up, put together man in suit. It's, if I could dedicate a fragrance to to a TV show Suits, that probably would be it. This is like the city, kind of like I'm working the city, white collar type of fragrance. And yet it's not simple. It's not flat. It's not boring. It's just very holistically kind of like cleaned up to the very essence of what musk, like an office appropriate musk fragrance would be. It's one of my favorite musks in my collection because it's so unusual. I would recommend it if you want to get into a little bit of a more serious mood, when you're like, okay, eyes on the goal, I need to get things done, bam, bam, bam. So that's the kind of fragrance that really puts me in that mood. All right, so now we're gonna switch gears a little bit. The fragrance that gives me probably the most festive and kind of like glint wine kind of feel, that I want to like just have some mulled wine and hot cake and just watch a good movie in bed. That would be Bois Noir by Robert Piguet. I actually have a number of gourmands dark spicy perfumes that I would like to talk to you about at some point. Bois Noir is a little bit, it's kind of like the golden locks of dark gourmand spicy perfumes. I have quite a few that are harder to really study and harder to be around. Some of them are a little bit too potent. Some of them contain, I would say, a more risque combination of notes. But Bois Noir is just the golden rule of how to make dark, spicy perfumes. Okay, let's make refresh my memory of that. I wore it mostly in cold winter. Again, depending on where you are, you might still be quite well positioned to wear it. Yes. This is basically the smell, like it opens with a little bit of a prickly, spicy black pepper with dark liquor with almost has some kind of like dark smoked bitters in it, you know, like those winter cocktails that when you combine whiskey or bourbon with cherry bitters, chocolate bitters, maybe even like some smoked wood, like it has a lot of these dark but not sugary warmth. So here spices take a little bit of a more of a front seat than the gourmand notes themselves, and that's what keeps the Bois Noir a little bit drier, spicier, and more mature in its composition than a lot of other spicy gourmands. So this is not girly, this is not cupcakes, this is not just, you know, like girly dessert type of fragrance. This is kind of much further to smoke, really smoked woody notes with black pepper and sprinkles of liquor notes, of these kind of sweet and dark, sort of dark cherries, maybe a little bit of prunes, that kind of envelop and soften the smoked woody notes with black pepper rather than dominate the fragrance. And for that, I absolutely love it. This is something, again, takes me to like one of those Swiss chalets when you're completely snowed in and you just like keep putting the wood into the fireplace and you just basically camp inside. So it's one of those fragrances that just takes me back to Christmas. And due to the high presence of woody and very dry, spicy notes, I think this one could work in hot climates as well. Because of this quality, the sweetness here is neither sticky, it's never annoying or cloyy. The sweetness here only adds, kind of softens the edges of this dark, woody, smoky, black peppery perfume. One of absolute favorites in my spicy perfumes collection. Alright, these two twins I just offer you interchangeably because to me they're almost indistinguishable with very slight variation of base. So these are the dark evening gourmand perfumes that anyone can wear. If you even not into the dark and spicy and rich perfumes, if this is too much for you, but you kind of want to dab into it every once in a while, these are the cheap and really good, well blended, kind of like designer quality level, very cheap options. So this one is Elizabeth Arden, Fifth Avenue Royale, and the second one, which again, like to me, I almost cannot distinguish them between each other. This is gonna be problematic. I know this is Oscar de la Renta. I think this is called Midnight Amber, if I'm not mistaken. So whichever one you like by form factor, or it's just cheaper for you to acquire. If you have one, you don't need the other. They are very similar, but they're absolutely stellar, kind of like everyday options. I would even go as far as say is that you can pull off these two, wearing them to work if you have to go to work, as long as you become a little bit more conservative on how much do you spray. How I wear them, because I just cannot deal with how big the bottles are, I just make 5 to 10 milliliter decants of the perfumes that I want to wear, and these I always have on hand. Oh, this is so good. They are much softer in comparison than Bois Noir, which I told you is more of a spice and smoked wood with gourmand, kind of like softening in the middle. This is way more centric on the gourmand dark liquor notes. As I said, I have decants of these two just basically spread through my purses, and I just like, as soon as I finish one, I pour myself some more because I use them interchangeably all the way through the year. So I would say that if I had to compare the two, the Fifth Avenue Royale by Elizabeth Arden is a little bit more on the kind of floral base, and by that it's a little bit softer. It's not as liquorish, it's not as smoky as the Midnight Amber by Oscar de la Renta. And through that, it's a little bit more wearable during the daytime, though both of them actually are wearable during the daytime. And again, like, I think if you have one, you don't need the other. And Oscar de la Renta, Midnight Amber, it's just a tad more smoky. It has a little bit more of that kind of like burning wood, kind of fireplace effect, but again, it's still somewhere on the background. If you don't really like the by the fireplace by Mesmer gel and things like that, it's the burning wood. It's not bitter, it's not too smoky, it doesn't smell like scotch or anything like that. So it is still probably the best entrance into the world of darker, kind of like old-fashioned or liquor type of inspired sweeter gourmand scents that are a little bit on a heavier side. If you're still not sure if that's gonna be your cup of tea or not, so I would heavily recommend Midnight Amber by Oscar de la Renta. I really like the packaging of this, and the price, you can't beat the price. I think you can get 100 ml for $20, 25 maybe, so that this is practically nothing.